Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How are you guys doing? All right. Yeah. Hey, you know what I should do is switch to. I tried this and still it didn't record the gallery. I don't know why. Last time, if you remember, or maybe it was my two-way. I keep forgetting, because when I look at the YouTube recording, I don't see the gallery of all of us. I only see the active speaker, and I tried. I'd like for the entire gallery to be viewable. How do I do that? Maybe, but it used to happen before. Maybe there's a difference between when you record it on your local computer versus recording it in the cloud. Maybe it stitches it together in a different way. Well, I'll find out. If any of you guys know, let me know. I'm going to try one more time. I'll just say gallery now. All right, now everybody's here. Well, not everybody. I think some of you are still joining. I believe. I hope. Yeah. So, Nate, your camera is like spinning, or your connection is. So, can you hear us? Evelyn, thanks. Yeah, Yonbo. Hey, Yonbo, I recognize you from my cs2b actually. In fact, you are sitting. I believe in the on the right hand side to me in the third row in nearest to the aisle, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's right. That's
right. So yeah, do you want me to call you Tony or Yanbo?
Tony is fine.
Tony's good. Okay. All right. Great. All right. No, we can start whenever you guys are up. Hey, by the way, before we start with your updates and things like that, and if you have any general questions, I'm happy to answer them. So yeah, I don't know if you've been following. A lot of my time, not a lot, but a significant amount of my time this morning was also wasted following up on this silly issue. Some of you may be aware, right? So there is a student or there was a student who is actively campaigning right now that our class be done pretty much the traditional way without anything public. So basically, yeah, so that means I may have to do things. But no, actually, you know what? The funny thing is, strangely enough, it is in a previous life, I would have told my kids exactly the same thing too, right? So it is actually a waste of your time to do something like this, and don't do this. Instead, use the same time, which apparently seems to be a significant amount of time invested into trying to, say this is right. Because if you invested the same amount of time in learning stuff, I think that would do you a great deal more, because my goal at the end of the day is not to crack my whip and say, hey guys, look, I know a whole lot more than you, right? That doesn't make my day, right? So what I want is for you to learn all the skills that are out there, at least as much as I know, right? So we can do something cool together, or I can see something that you do and relate to it in a meaningful way and things like that. So that is my goal at the end of the day. And so here's the thing, right? And I think I'm pretty sure there is a term for this in other cultures and other languages too. But in India, in Indian culture, we say empty vessels make the most noise, and we say that that is a signal for not hiring a person, because when you hire a person to do a job, you don't want someone to give you excuses, but you want them to give you explanations, and this is very different, right? So many people in a previous time when I was managing people, all the way from individual contributors, whether they're vice presidents, doesn't matter. And when something goes wrong, and you just listen to their explanation, you can tell if it is an explanation for something that went wrong, or it's an excuse saying, well, I'm not responsible for what went wrong, right? So you really want someone to be working on the project who's actually wedded to the project, interested in it, and doing it for their own sake, not doing it for you, right? And the way you identify people who are doing it for their own sake will tend to complain less and say, well, I'll take whatever I get, because everything, I'm thirsty for knowledge. I just want to lap it up. And anyway, so the reason I said it's a waste of that person's time really is no change. I think no change is effectively going to happen, right? In spite of all that wasted effort, which may be spent elsewhere, because technically, think about it, all of this public stuff that we're doing is only worth 7.5 points. Yes, because everything else is in the rubric, down to 3 or 7 points that you get in each mini quest. Yes, they scale down and everything. You can calculate this. So only 7.5 points are for this public, and I could essentially, I don't have to change anything at all, and say everything here is optional, and you don't have to participate. But the 7.5 points, I think every professor has leeway around 7.5 points to have, some evaluation of the student's expertise in the matter. And if that is lacking, I can always say, it doesn't matter to me. A student does not have to participate. But that student will have to have a one-on-one with me towards the end of the quarter, because they may already know all the stuff, right? So it may be a quick conversation, or maybe a long drawn conversation where I'll basically grill that student deep down, right? So into the nuts and bolts of everything, and say, do you actually understand what this is? Or because, buzzwords and jargon only get you so far, right? So I want to make sure that every concept is nailed in. And but you can, and
Professor?
that's the reason we have these forums, right?
Professor?
Yeah.
Sorry, what is going on exactly? Sorry,
Oh yeah.
maybe all the others are
I'm not on
aware, but
campus.
I don't have the context of what's going on.
Nothing really is going on. But I'm not on campus right now. But I just wanted to make you all wary, because I gather that there is a campaign led by a former student who complained on our Reddit, and many of that person's self-promotional posts were deleted. I think the publicly used name, I don't know if that's a real name of the student, or I don't even know if that person's a current student. Sarah_J, and I think it's 10. 10, no, is it 00001010, right? So that was a Reddit username. And then there were a lot of complaints, and then the students started complaining to me that user code was also disruptive and posting too many self-promotional messages. So I tried to delete those, and I think that rubbed the student the wrong way. And then I hear through email and instructions sent to me that there is some sort of a campaign in which students are being exhorted to complain to authorities. It doesn't matter. You should complain, right? If you feel badly, you should go ahead and anonymous complaints is fine. But there is an exhortation apparently to complain to the authorities, saying this is an unfair and discriminatory grading system, and then private consultations are not given and discouraged or something like that. But it doesn't have to be that way. So we can change the course. It doesn't have to be significant change, right? It just has to be changed for 1 or 2 students, right? So rather than complaining, you just have to reach out to me and say, hey, I can't do any of that. But instead of public participation, can we just do one-on-ones weekly, right? And I'm perfectly happy to consider that. And that will save both of us a lot of time, I think, right? So because that person doesn't have to waste so much time researching little details to make a report. So one quick email would do the trick. So I just want you to pass the message on if you know the person, or in touch with them, or you get requests by email. And let's not waste any more time on this topic. I just wanted to bring it to your attention so that I am very pleased with this class, honestly, right? This is the first time I have had such terrific engagement in cs2b. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, okay? Maybe I'll run a test again at the end of this quarter. Maybe I suspect that it is because I forced students to do CS2A quests, all the blue quests in the first week, and I gave you time. I said you have to do it for some credit, right? Because previously I think I said, you have to do it to discover the first password. Who the shit cares about the first password? You're gonna get it anyway the first day. So this time I'm actually giving you credit for it, and that really made a difference. I think you can give me feedback, right? You can send me email feedback too. Happy to consider that. And next quarter, I'll actually work it into the syllabus itself, right? I'll say the first week, you just get the first week to do all the blue quests, right? And green questing will start in week 2. So I think that'll be really cool, right? Going forward. Yeah. So we'll see if that works out. What else? What did I want to say? before you launch into your reports, right? I was very pleased to see a bunch of comments by some of you. And of course, Ronaldo posts these incredible tips and summaries also that I love to read. Thank you, Ronaldo. Right? So Nate, where's Nate? Oh, there you go. Wait, was your internet playing up before? Because you were a circle. You're a spinning circle for me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the camera was disabled for a while.
All right, cool. Anyway, so Nate posted these interesting numbers, an empirical test of what you would expect mathematically. Yes, it's very nice, isn't it? If you think about it, mathematically, that's what I expect, right? Because you start with 1, but then in recursion, I'm talking about Hanoi. Is everybody okay, comfortable enough for me to talk about Hanoi? Please raise your hand if so, or yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the very first base case, there's only 1, okay? And then you're going to use that 1 plus 1 additional move, because you're going to take that. So you're going to construct your next generation automata, right? You're going to construct your next generation based on the previous generation by replicating this here, replicating it that here, and creating a new one here. So every time you're growing, what you get is 2D, 2n plus 1. Right, so that's essentially what you're getting. So if you where was I going? It was actually the sum of that series, right? 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus so on, right? So it's basically the sum of the first n terms of a geometric progression, right? And what is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus so on and so on up to 2 to the n? Which, if any of you are doing math and you're interested, and you have actually, you don't even need a tablet. If you have a terminal, I can just walk you through the ASCII code. I can type in and walk you through this math proof. It's only 3 or 4 lines for, the sum of the first n terms of a geometric progression. Very simple to derive. It's a times r to the n minus 1 over r minus 1. Yes, because you just factor out the and it'll work out really nicely. So for binary, r is 2, right? Because it goes 1, 2, then 4. That's 2 squared, 2 cubed, right? That's how it goes. So that's how your tree also grows, right? That's why in our cache, we only keep 1 level. So if you wanted to keep the whole thing, what we're looking at is really not a whole lot more in space, right? Because it's just linear. How much more? It's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2, right? We're going to be keeping 2 to the n plus 1, right? But essentially, we're going to keep, 2 to the n plus 1 plus an overhead exactly equal to that. Because, 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to 2 to the n is basically 2 to the n plus 1 minus 1. Yes or no? If you want, you can open up a terminal. I can walk you through the, it's a very simple math proof. You'll all relate to it, high school algebra. But, we don't have to waste time on that, but you can do this on your own too, and post it and share it in the forums. And so anyway, the reason I brought that up was because Nate's numbers, I don't know if you guys had time. In fact, I don't know what is it? Pebbly bytes? You said something like
Petabytes, the
I don't know
non-marketing
what that is,
term.
okay, I used to get as some random unit. Okay, so X, but if you look at the numbers, they're really interesting, isn't it? Because it basically just doubles, and you can see that the sum, the sum is basically going to complete that thing there for you. Yes. So the overhead is not all that much. It's not exponential. The space-wise overhead is not exponential. So the reason we don't keep the ancient caches, which Mandar pointed out in a previous post, I believe, is basically because, we're just going to be realistic. And like he said, we're going to make software engineer trade-offs and say, how likely is it that I'm going to want, Fibonacci 2 when I'm actually really after Fibonacci of 7 or something like that, right? So you make those, and if you have a use case in which certain levels of cache are important, then you'll do exactly what Mandar said too, I think. Does it all make sense? I don't know. I shouldn't really be prattling on like this. Okay, so you should feel free to cut me off at any time. And whether I'm talking about this or general stuff to do with cs2b, that's also fine. Just cut me off. If you have any questions that I should answer, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, what we can do is hopefully this time, when you do the update, this is what I want Zoom to do. Is it recording? Oh, damn, it's recording in the cloud again. All right, hang on one sec, okay? So let me see if there's a setting that says record the gallery. So even though I have it in gallery mode, it's recording active speaker. Maybe I do full screen. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's a bug, right? Maybe it's a Zoom server-side bug, which is not there in the client-side code that, which does the conversion on my computer. So, right? Maybe I should just convert it on my computer.
Professor, you'd mentioned that we have a mechanism by which we can evaluate how much we've done in the quests, and we can see the ones that we've completed, but is there a way to see the ones that we've yet to complete? There's always a
No.
question at the end that
Yeah,
says,
you can
do you
only
think that's
see.
it?
Yeah, that's it. You can only see what you've completed. It's like here. Actually, here's what I'm thinking, right? So there are so many strong students in my class. Many of you are strong students. I can see, right? The way you're posting your comments and helping each other out and looking at your code also, right? Looks like some of you already have experience in programming in a different language. Okay, so you're coming here to just pick up the C++. So, and I don't know, maybe if you're not working, if you're a student, or you have time to kill, I'm thinking, right? Starting this summer. I'll just offer a bunch of stipends and so what is it? Internship at Nonlinear Media, right? So I have a whole bunch of, totally, this is what I'm going to say, right? Utterly useless. So, I have a bunch of projects that are totally cool but utterly useless. Okay, so so you'll get a chance maybe, but in order to do that, I haven't even crafted the requirements when I post it eventually, maybe in a couple of months. But it'll be open to anyone who does all of the quests from a tiger until mouse. Using an ID that I can track, so that I can spend a couple of days going over all your code and all your Reddit questions and so on, and then most of the time an interview may not even be necessary. Also, not in the sense that not evaluating you to see if where your interests lie, because that is really what most managers are looking for, right? In my experience, on the other side of the world, what I've found is that many managers, many potential hires, okay, many potential hires approach interviews, the funny thing is, it's not just coders and entry-level guys, right? No matter, even senior guys, even guys who come to investors. Right, even guys who come like CEO types who come to investors asking for money with asking for a term sheet and so on, they have an attitude that actually kind of militates against them. Where was I going with that? Gee, I was about to say something really profound. Well, not profound. I think it was useful. What does it say? So employees. What I found. What was I talking about just one sec before that? Does anybody remember?
Managers look at their interests or something like that.
I'm sorry, who looked at their interests?
You were talking about how managers or employers would look at a person's.
Interview. I'm sorry. Thank you. Who said that? Thank you for reining in.
That was me, Walter.
Well, thank you, Walter. So here is what I found. These many of the potential hires think of the interview as a battle, right? As a place where the manager or the interviewers are evaluating your skills, okay? And so they automatically go into defensive mode, right? And I spend a great deal of energy trying to get them out of defensive mode so that we can have an honest, a human-to-human conversation where I can figure out if that person's interests are aligned with the interests of what we want to do here. Because that is the only way you can get the best out of any damn guy in the world, okay? Any person that you hire, right? If he or she has something that they want to do, right? And you identify that is exactly, it's pointing, that boat is pointing in the same direction as your boat, they're a good hire, right? And so that is what most employers are looking for. Most, hiring managers are looking for. And so a lot of people don't approach interviews, and a great deal of time in the interview is just wasted, right? Just getting them out of their shell and making them feel comfortable, saying, well, you're not being grilled to see how good you are. We just want to find out what, tickles your fancy, right? Because we want to make sure that when you come here, we have something that's exciting for you, right? What's the use of getting you here and getting you all unsatisfied and, leave the door, with a grumpy look on your face? Not good for anybody, right? So that is, and that is the, and I felt, I should basically just, maybe I should have done that, right? So I should have basically told some of these people that you interview, say, this is what you're looking for. But I know you're a brilliant person, but you're never ever going to be able to show your brilliance until you come out of your shell. And that is a message that most, but how is it related to what we're talking about here? I have no idea. So I'm sorry. Anyway, this is not a formal lecture, right? I mean, it's just optional called by you guys, okay? You guys are organizing. So I can talk about any shit I want, right?
So to be clear, there's no way to know when we are done with a quest. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. No, well, there is a way, but you'll find out eventually. But yeah, in a particular quest, there is no way to find out, right? But there are very good guesses out there, right? And there are sheets that people have posted with total scores and how much they've got, right? And I think there was one student in the past who tried to get something going along the lines of how fast people could screen through these things, which is really a bad idea. I think I think I told you guys, right? So it's not how fast we screen through anything. It's just how much time we spend on each, right? So we'll get really good at saying, oh, you know what? I spend a whole lot more time than you, so I'm really cool. Okay, so and that's because it's fun, right? Fun stuff we want to do slowly, not just munch through it as quickly as we can. Anyway, I've spoken long enough. What time is it? Unless you have any questions, you guys should just feel free.
Professor,
Yeah.
I have I know you said that we shouldn't like speed through things and we should like take things at our own pace, but our midterm is next week, and I was just
Midterm can't be. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's not next week. It's not next week. Next week is week 5. This is week 4.
Yeah. I think on the syllabus.
Midterm is the Thursday of week 6. That's the week after next.
Oh, week 6. Okay.
Thursday. Towards the end of week 6, you'll have a lot of time. Essentially, anyone who has reached quest 6 by then, right? Reached and given quest 6 a decent shot. The answer is decent shot. You don't even have to have popped it by then. I think can just basically screen through the midterm with their eyes closed. Well, not their eyes closed, right? They won't have any problems, right? Basically, they can just review the material the night before and they'll be fine. Yeah, so the goal should be, and I think Ben, you asked this question, in what order I should, peruse the material, like, should I go modules first and then low stuff? Yeah, I know. That may work. It has, because there are students, right? Like that other student who pointed out that this kind of teaching doesn't work for that student, but I have to somehow find the language to say in the syllabus that if this doesn't work for you, just get in touch with me. So for you, we'll arrange a different way. So I can have one-on-ones with you and teach you, rather than saying it doesn't work for me. So nobody should do it this way, right? Because I'm pretty sure this kind of thing works for you guys, right? Yes or no? Because I'm happy to not come and talk. I'm happy to not hold these, check-in meetings, because these are all not required, right? These are not required in the original class. And I just check them in this quarter, right? So depending on feedback from you, I can make it mandatory or not. So this is just recommended meetings. And again, really, I'll not make them mandatory next time, right? Starting next quarter. So these are optional. But if you come here, I don't have to think long and hard when it comes to grading time, right? Saying, oh, Anne, yeah, she was here. She gave us an update last quarter, last class, and so on and so forth. So I'll remember all these things. And when it comes to grading, I know, right? So otherwise, I have to dig through the things and maybe send you an email saying, can you schedule a one-on-one? I need to talk about this concept with you, and it gets all messy and time-consuming at the end of the quarter. So I think this optional thing is actually working out nicely for me. But there's no reason it has to change, but just the wording in the syllabus. That's why it's a waste of time, right? So nothing is going to change. It's just going to be a lot of hot air. So instead, that time may be better spent improving yourself. And that basically is my message. You can, and if you know this person, I think, who knows, right? Maybe that person is actually having a lot of trouble in their life, and they may have 100 other frustrations, right? And maybe this was just the last straw that broke their back. So maybe, you can reach out to that person and say, hey, it's okay. All you need to do is just ask. And if you just ask, right? And say, this is not working for me. And then a separate thing can be made for you. But we shouldn't say it's not working for me, therefore nobody should do it that way. I think that is not productive for anyone. And the reason, no, I don't think I shouldn't, right? I don't think anybody should say you should, I shouldn't. But I think it's not productive for the student to say that, because there are a million ways in which that can be got around. And then they would spend a lot of time and energy and trying to construct sophisticated arguments why they are right and things shouldn't be, and things like that. But should and shouldn't, these words have a lot of work attached to them, right? Because the person who says should and shouldn't has to come up with a lot of justification and reasoning. Yes, right? Because it may not agree with everybody. So there's no real sense in my mind to say this is right and this is wrong. You should do this or you shouldn't do this. All I'm going to say is that this is going to be good for you and that's not going to be good for you, right? It's going to be useful for you, not going to be useful for you. Then I don't have the burden of having to justify things that I say, because you know automatically whether I'm telling you bullshit or not, because you know instantly, oh yeah, that is useful, but that's not useful. Right? Or even if I tell you a mix of useful and useless shit, you can say, I don't need useless shit, right? I'll just take the useful shit and leave the useless, you can make those intelligent calls. So that's where I'm going with this. But in order to get the benefit from it, this is what I would have told them. I've told my kids this. And just in order to get the benefit it's a lot of these energies. I used to spend a lot of time, right, when I was a kid, and in school, right, and then I only learned that the hard way. But that student and you guys don't have to learn it the hard way. You can learn from my experience that when I was a student in school, in high school, right? I was a very self-righteous person in the sense that, not self-righteous religious kind of person, but I was self-righteous in the sense I would always be defensive and saying what I did was right. So if the teacher said you got less points for this, and then someone else, right, even though we weren't like competitive, I'd just go and argue and ask for those points. But eventually I found out, right, after going to college and things like that, that is not the right way, because at the end of the day, if you look at the whole thing, what we find is nothing's really changed. The only thing that's changed is that I've lost a lot of time constructing elaborate arguments for saying why I was just justified in being wrong, right? Whereas, there's good stuff out there. The teachers were trying to tell me good stuff. Now I could just take it or leave it. And then I would have saved, like, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of hours even, as a kid. But those are lessons I learned later. But you guys are now at that stage of life, many of you anyway, right? So you don't have to go through the same process that I did, through grad school, and not only yours, before grad school anyway, right? I learned some hard lessons, but even many of these did persist, right? Old habits die hard, right? So and so these will go away, but it's recognition of those things that's important. And I wish someone had told me like that, and if we're kind to that student, if you happen to know that person, you just pass a message on saying, it's nothing is going to change except your wasted time. So might as well use that time to pick up more stuff. If you know all the stuff already, that's fine. You don't have to help others, but no harm in just participating, right? So everybody here is a friend, right? Because I know a lot of students who have very, very hard times outside of class. Okay, I only get to see you like 1 hour, like this, but I know many students who are having very, very hard times. Many of them are sharing one corner of a room with a laptop computer, but not so much in 2B maybe, right? But I know, but I'm not saying, financially or like that, but I know many of them have personal problems. Many of them are dealing with multiple fires at the same time. So it's all really hard. So I can understand all of that. The only thing I need is, you don't have to tell me what the problem is. All you need to do is just send me an email saying, hey, I have some problems that is getting in the way of doing things. I just need this, right? And yeah, fine. Whatever you need to master the material, I'm happy to give you, right? Because I'm hoping that, within a year, maybe you work on some really cool stuff with me on, some useless non-linear media project, right? So maybe we'll do something like Loris, next quarter, or and that was really fun, by the way, and I still use it from time to time, right? Maybe I do some stories, and there is, in fact, I think a lure right at the end of the trail, right? You started on the blue trail, but there is a lure at the very end. There is a lure at the very beginning, and I think coincidentally, I happened to put it in at the very end when I was playing around with lures, actually. So I'm trying to create new stories. Anyway, so that's what it is. What we can do is, we can start the thing where if someone needs to keep a list of names, but last time it worked, right? Just going in terms. And this time it's in gallery view. I'll make sure it's not going to speaker view so I can actually keep track. All right. So how about we start? Anyone who wants to go first? Ben, are you okay with this? All right. So Ben can do the first update. It doesn't have to be a great deal, right? But you can say whatever you want. And also, launch into a spiel. I got time. What time is it now, by the way? Right? If you want.
132.
1:32. I got time, okay? I got time until 2:30. I got time until 2:30 at least, right? And later on, I got another meeting from, with David and some of the other students who can't make this meeting. That's at 5 o'clock, right? But other than that, actually, there is a student, a past student that I'm advising with a product, and I'm supposed to meet with him later today over, Google. All right, well, it hasn't been scheduled yet, right? And maybe they haven't even woken up. So they'll ping me when they're ready. But until I get that call, I'm actually free. And if you want to talk about any damn thing, that's fine, okay? It doesn't have to be CS. Yeah, actually, you can talk about anything. It doesn't even have to be a computer science. As long as it's interesting and other people are not cutting you off, that's fine. Go ahead. Ben.
Just before we jump in, I just want to double check. It's okay if we're like behind on the green quest, as long as we get to green quest 9. They'll all unfreeze and we can keep attempting them later on. Okay, perfect.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as for me, I'm on blue quest 8. I've learned a lot this past week. There were like header files, there were like classes, and there were like, whew, what a doozy. But yeah, for me, I've just been chugging through. I'm excited to start the green quests. When I get to the green quests, I guess one thing about me is I like musicals and I want to do skydiving. That's a bucket list item. So if you have any recommendations for that, I would love that. That's it for me.
Wow. Mandir?
Yeah, hi. So last week I finished quest 3, which involves creating or generating patterns with simple rules. I think it's called Cellular Automaton. It was a really fun quest, I think, so up until now. Rule 30 is my favorite rule. And I made a post in my weekly update where you can check out how you can use Rule 30 to create random numbers, which was really interesting for me. And from a CS knowledge standpoint, it involved a lot of learnings and how you convert between a binary and a decimal number, and how you manage vectors. So that was interesting. And recently I also finished quest number 4, which I think is the hardest quest so far, because it involves a lot, stuff like memory management, memory leakage, and also it introduces a new data structure called trees, which was very fun for me to learn. And I think the perspective shift was the key takeaway there, where you can build a general tree by just using a binary tree as a starting point. I think that was a key. That's what stood out for me when I finished this quest. So yeah, this week I'll be looking forward to the Reddit subreddit for any questions associated with the previous quests that I can help with, and also looking forward to quest number 5 and any learning material associated with that. So that's my update.
Sinchi? Sinchi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize I'm muted. Yeah. Hello.
Hi, I can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
cool.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just everything is just normal, and I just started my quest 2, green quest 2, like several days ago, and it takes me a little bit of time to like find the passcode of the next one, of the next quest, because it's like it's hard to describe, but I'm not, because I know I cannot just tell the passcode here, but it's kind of hidden, actually. Yeah, that is something I'm struggling with, but whatever. I hadn't started my Green Quest 3 yet, but I hope I will do fine.
Walter? Are you done,
Yeah.
Sinchi? Are you done? Well, Walter, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I started my the quest 3 over the weekend, still getting away. Took me a while just to do the conversion from binary to decimal, because I kept doing it different ways and kept sort of confusing myself with it. And at the end of the day, the solution to it was like any. I just got out a piece of paper and started doing the conversions myself, and then trying to align my code with what I did. And eventually I got it. But now I'm starting to do all the other parts, and yeah, I'll look forward to getting quest 3 done. It's I didn't do much of the work with vectors with my previous professor in cs2a, so vectors are still kind of new to me, which adds a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure I'll get through it.
Can you guys all see the gallery, by the way? Are we all ordered the same way in the gallery? So who's after Walter? For me, left to right. For me, it is Nate. Is everybody got Nate next?
The gallery view doesn't work in the browser version of Zoom, so anyone using the browser, it doesn't have it.
I see. Because the reason my reluctance to call out hey Nate, you're next, is that maybe one of you doesn't have an update, and I don't want to put you on the spot. Right. So are you guys okay with saying I don't have an update? Because then I can make things easy. I can just say, hey, Sung or Turkey, and you can just say, I no update today. That's fine. Is that okay? Then I can just go like this. Yes.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
I'll go first
Nate,
for that. Then I really don't have much to update on. I mostly just need to get caught up.
Oh, Brian, was that Brian? Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I meant that's fine. Thank you, Brian. So let's do Nate now, and then Nate, Ronaldo, and so on. I'll call out the names.
We didn't have a meeting last week, but finished up green 1 just before the freeze. The biggest thing I had a problem with was the destruction of what's being created, and when it interacts with the head node, and that took up a lot of time, like rewriting it a number of different ways until auto grader decided it was good. And then we moving on to green 2. The algorithm itself was pretty simple. It's well documented on the internet. There are plenty of lectures that go over how the recursive algorithm works. And so that was pretty easy to rewrite. The problem that I had, though, was with the cache. And I think the way that it's implemented here, I could be wrong about this, but I'm suspecting that if you only hold the top level of the solution in cache, there will still be some calculations that have to go on when you go that extra level, because I think the algorithm is rotated wouldn't exactly be the right word, but it's not the same solution. It's a slightly modified solution of the previous level. So the numbers that I put up on the Reddit probably aren't precisely accurate, but the idea of having those extra solutions that are it's data that you don't really need anymore if you're only trying to go up to that nth plate. It makes sense to cull it after a while if you're trying to get up there into the higher orders of that algorithm. I have not touched green 3 yet, but in the next couple of days I will, and hope it goes well.
Thank you, Nate. By the way, I want to mention this, okay? If you want to say, you should feel free to say completely wrong things, or even say things about the quests, and I am not going to interrupt or correct you. Or even if you say there's a problem with this particular quest, I'm not going to say, hey, dive into it here. It's perfectly fine. Okay, no interruption from me. Just keep going on. And if there is an issue, we'll just resolve it on Reddit, and then I'll fix it and so on, right? So you can feel free, utterly free. Even if you think there's a bug in the question system, you should just say, right? So I'm doing that. Okay? So
if I was to offer some feedback going forward, in some of the test returns, it says something like, your cache was different than mine, for example. And that's it. If there was a way to present the different caches in some sort of, format that can be given to us a file back that shows us the left and the right. You know, maybe not just text, but being able to have that file given back to us to see, so that we can look at it and compare left and right what goes wrong. And in a couple of earlier examples, depending on the randomness of the tests being run, sometimes you would get valuable feedback from the left and the right difference, whatever design you're using for that. But other times the random tests are so long that you don't get that valuable data out of it. Like the tail tag isn't present in the feedback. And so you don't know that that's what's causing the issue. That's it for me.
Thank you, Nate. Ronaldo, do you want to go next?
Sure. I finished quest 4, Koala, I believe. And yeah, it was tricky, very tricky. There's a lot of recursion, to the point that I was getting a notebook and a pen to try to follow a lot of the things that were going on. But what really, one of the things that piqued my interest was I thought that I knew everything about copy constructor and, you know, assignment overloading. But then I was doing these tests and suddenly something didn't work. And I went to try to figure out why, and then went into this full day tangent on trying to figure out there is a move constructor now, swap this, and C++17 has all these new things that you need to, they say the big rule of 4.5, copy constructor, move constructor, assignment operator, destructor, and swap paradigm. So anyway, I spent a whole day reading about this. And was, I guess it was fun, but depends on your perspective. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna start quest 5 and tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow.
Zoom?
Oh, hi. I just finished quest 2 last night, and I realized I was making a bunch of silly mistakes. It ended up being one line. I changed one line and ended up finishing the entire quest. And I'm looking forward, I think I'm going to look back at recursion, because I feel like my lack of understanding really held me back. So I'm going to spend today and tomorrow just learning more about recursion.
Riley.
Yeah, I don't have too much. I finished up quest 2 last week and I haven't started on the third quest yet. I had a bit of trouble with the cache on quest 2. Only got half the trophies, but I'm probably just going to come back to it.
Tim.
Yeah, I don't have much updates. I'm still working on the quest 2, and then yeah, I'm stuck in the mini quest 4. So yeah, I'm going to work on it today. Yeah.
Tony?
Oh, is it me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm currently working on quest 2 and I just solved the blocker, and I'm looking to finish today or tomorrow. And I have a question about the Reddit. I'm a bit confused by the text. A general question in Foothill is pretty straightforward, but I was confused by.
The flares, right?
Yeah.
Just tag it with whatever quest it is referring to. So duck is number 1, hare is number 2.
Oh, okay.
And concept questions, I think there's one flare that is named building blocks, maybe something like that, right? So and it also says this is about concepts and so on. And in Foothill, specific things like to do with grades and credit, they tag it with the Foothill context. The flare.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, does it help?
Yes.
Because I had to correct a few tags. But it's not a big deal. Most people just get the hang of it after the first few lectures. Thanks, Tony. Evelyn, you want to go next?
I'm currently on Green Quest 1, and I'm still trying to get through the auto grader. And hopefully I'm gonna get through it by today.
No worries. By the way, right, anyone who is still struggling through these quests, you should not feel free that the freezes are like hard freezes, okay? All you need to do is if you've been putting in some decent amount of effort and you're close to completion or at least midway, or you see yourself completing it at some point soon, just send me an email and I'll work with you to make sure it gets through, right? Because if I've the thing is, if I'm thinking of me as a teacher, as a laborer, which I'm not really, right? As polishing you up, you know, what's the point? I've already done so much work. Might as well take you the rest of the way to reap the full benefit. And so if you drop off now, it would be a huge pity, both for yourself and for me, right? So I want to help you go to the end. Even if it takes your own, if it takes you, it doesn't matter if it's part of the grading system here, right? I can assure you, right? Here is some useful information. I think this is going to be borne out by data also. What grade you get in 2B, 2A, 2C. It is not going to matter in your life after 5 years. However, the max quest you complete in each of these levels, that will be part of you until you stop programming in your life. Okay, so don't care about the grade, but your goal should be, it doesn't matter if I'm not going to even, you know, pass 2B this time, but I'm just going to keep going through the quests, right? Over the spring break, maybe, right? Maybe I'm at a beach and every half hour I get a break and I go and look at my quest and, you know, the code and make changes. Doesn't matter at all. So your goal should be just to get through all the way. And you can let me know. After you finish quest 9 of red, you can let me know if your passion for CS has not been, you know, you can tell me if there's a difference, right? This is how I felt about CS before, and this is how I feel about it now. And I am like 99% confident, right? That it will be a, you know, a hugely positive delta, right? You'll see that it's made so much of a difference in your life because I know that at the age, I don't know, in a community college, we can't make this call, right? Because we have students of different ages, different backgrounds, different, right? And not normalized. So one of the things that students tend to face, I don't know, I forgot. Jeez, I was talking about that. But anyway, yeah. So if you need more time, just let me know, and you just need to get through to the other end, and that's really what. Okay, is lack of self-esteem. Okay, it's not what I mean by lack of self-esteem is not a psychological, you know, pathological issue. What I mean is that many programmers, I find, spend a great deal of energy first in proving their worth and validating themselves before you actually get to the meat of understanding what they actually know and what their passion is, which is what all employers are looking for, right? They are not nobody, right? Or maybe some managers are, but I was never, okay? And I've hired some great teams. So I was never a person who was looking for good people, right? Rock stars. What I want is really in an interview, I'm not looking for whether you know the stuff, well, because you need to know the stuff because, you know, otherwise you wouldn't make the interview. But what I know, I already know that you're a rock star. I know that you can do kick-ass stuff just like me, right? You can be out there, you know, doing whatever the hell you want. So all I'm trying to find out here is that, you know, hey, you know, you can bring so much and I can bring so much. Can we, the two of us together, you know, complement something? Can we build something together? Right? Is your vision aligned with me? Maybe not orthogonally, because orthogonally, you know, the components of the forces are going to be, you know, you can zero either way, but you know, it's not 90 degrees. You know, some you know, horizontal component exists, right? So some reinforcement can happen, right? Even though you may have other interests, it's not diametrically opposed or even orthogonal. So you have some component. So that, and that is the component which companies are looking for, right? So if a hiring manager says, this person is worth, you know, 250K per year, okay? What they're really saying is that, you know, this person is worth, you know, billions of dollars a year, obviously, right? But of that billions of dollars a year, which is their true worth, right? Just follow along with me and tell me if the analogy works, okay? But you know, some of you who are hiring managers probably know this already because when you're evaluating candidates, that's what you're doing, right? Because you got to evaluate candidates not from the perspective of, you know, I'm going to be a boss and those guys are going to be working for me. Do they have the chops needed, right? So yeah, can I drive them like a piano, knowing predictable notes? Right? So if I hit it, I'm going to get a C sharp, not like an E flat or something like that all of a sudden, right? So predictable. So then I can drive them. So that is a poor kind of manager because they'll end up spending a lot of time just doing grunt work, right? Just managing, right? And that is no fun at all. Managing people is the least fun job in the world. So the good manager basically says, you know, managing has to be done, but I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that. So what I'll do is basically just try and pick stuff that are people that are just going to be doing what I'm going to do anyway. Right? So just share the work and they're going to be doing what they're going to be doing and they're all going to be rock stars. So all I need is that I need to get the true value, which is X times the cosine of the angle that it makes with the company's value. So that theta. So what we're looking for, X cos theta, right? Where X is their value and the theta is the divergence they have from the company's mission. So you can get a rock star whose theta is 180 degrees. Right? So that kind of person, you just part ways with, not negatively, saying, but with the recognition that you are a rock star, right? But then you want to do something else in your life right now, not this. Okay. So some other time when our angle is less than 90 degrees, I'm sure we'll have a fantastic opportunity to do something. Does it all make sense? All right. So anyway, so by looking at it this way, you get to identify a lot of people. You get to, because otherwise what happens is that, every person you encounter in life has got one or two faults. Okay. It is, tell me, right? And we're not even talking about computer science here. Every person has at least one or two, but not faults, saying one or two aspects about their personality that doesn't jive with us. Right? So if we set ourselves a task of finding someone who dives with us 100%, that's basically setting ourselves up for defeat, right? It's like hiring an employee and giving them the hardest problem in the company on day one and saying, if you don't get it done, you're fired. Okay. So you don't set someone up for failure like that. And why would you set yourself up for failure? Right. So rather than do things the hard way, we basically say, I don't know. All right. So yeah, I don't know, something like that. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry, someone else was talking and I just basically took over, right? Evelyn made her update. I think it's Turkey's turn. Hey, Turkey, you guys say, hey, hang on, right? So especially this time of the day, and I'm between meetings, I just tend to ramble on and on about random shit, okay? So, but we have important stuff to do in this class, okay? We shouldn't be using up this time to talk about random shit. So you should just feel free to just interject at any time and say, hey, stop, I want to go next because I've been waiting for like 20 minutes to tell you guys what I've done, okay? Hey, Turkey, so take it like that. And anybody else, right? If I'm talking, just feel free to button, except Brian, you've had a chance, okay? So you've got, I've got Paul, George, Anne, Claire, you're looking somewhere. Are you looking at the screen? Claire, are you frozen? Is this a photo?
I'm looking no, I'm looking.
Okay, well, you're not looking at the camera, okay? So your camera's somewhere else.
Yeah, my camera is here.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fine. So you have to go, and then Gerald, your camera is off, and then Kevin, your camera is, wait, Gerald, your camera's not
is my camera on? I think
it's on. Is your iPad?
Yeah.
Okay, so
my
you got
package got stolen, so.
No, you just got 1/4 of your face in quadrant 3. That's all.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Kevin, you got to talk also. Okay, I've tried. Even if you haven't done anything, that's fine.
Yeah. It's just that I'm using my phone to use because I don't have a mic.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay. No worries. But you can feel free to talk and give your update when you get a chance. Okay?
Can I do my update since I have a meeting at like?
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So it's just a small update. So I'm done quest 1. I'm in quest 2 right now. Actually, I think I'm like a bit behind, and I have to review a lot of things. I don't know if I'm gonna be completing quest 2 this week. I'll try my best since I have an exam as well due this week. And I have to study for that. So yeah, that's about it.
You have an exam already?
Yeah, I have a math exam this week.
Midterm, not midterm, right?
Midterm.
How could you have a midterm which is not?
I have no clue. I have the professor have like 3
how many
exams.
weeks? Well, how many weeks is this course? How many weeks is this course? 12 weeks until March 25?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I don't know. Different professors have different ways. It depends on the bunch of students they get also, right? So they find optimal points to quiz them. All right, thank you, Gerald. Okay, now George, Paul, did you have a chance to go?
I think I'm next.
Turkey.
Oh yeah.
I think Turkey's next in the order, but
okay, yeah,
I kind of got skipped past. But I could just go after.
Appreciate it, Paul. So so far I finished quest 2 today in the morning. I was trying to aim for the most efficient way of solving the puzzle. However, later on when I opened the simulator and was comparing my numbers, I found out it wasn't a mistake. It was actually just matching the simulator. But luckily I managed to finish it today.
I saw your post. Thank you. Paul, you wanted to go next?
Yeah, I could go. Yeah, so I'm like a little bit behind. It's kind of been like a tough week for me, like in terms of like just outside of school. I've been kind of stressed and stuff. I'm working on Green Quest 1 right now. So I'm just hoping that I could just catch up. I'm kind of struggling with that one, but I just got to work harder to overcome, you know, those roadblocks that I'm facing. I'll be better off in the end. So that's just how I'm feeling right now.
George?
I seem kind of tired because it's like 6 a.m. right now. But,
I can't hear you, sorry.
I seem kind of tired. It's because it's 6 a.m. right now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You said something about 6 a.m.
Yeah, it's 6 a.m. right now for me.
Oh, is it? Where are you?
It's quite early, yeah. Hong Kong.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So everyone, you're in Hong Kong, and how many of you guys are in Hong Kong right overseas right now, not in California, right? Different time zone. I want to make sure that we pick a time that's optimal. Are there guys in this class who are not in our time zone? Because I'm just posting announcements and saying this is due and this at this time and so on, and there's people like this who are, in the different times. You guys should let me know. Hey George, if you have any time zone related issues, you should send me email, okay?
Yeah. So I'm working on Quest 3. I just got the password to Quest 2, for it and then just moved on. I didn't really work on cache. But I'll probably come back and work on it later. That's about it.
Thank you, George. Yeah, and you had to speak softly because it's so early in the morning. Thank you for that. Anne, do you want to go next? Yeah, Anne too.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
All right, now I can.
So I've been kind of behind. I had some medical issues last week, but now I'm on beat green 2. So yay! I'm really hoping to get that done. I'm still having trouble with the whole cache thing. So if anybody has any resources that they can point me to, that'd be super appreciated.
Claire?
Yeah, I don't have much update because I'm still working on the Quest 1. I'm a little laid back, but I think this week I can catch up. I can work on Quest 2.
Great. There are lots of people in this class, okay? So many people able to help. This is a golden opportunity. Anytime, if you want to learn, ask in the Reddit, and there are so many people who can help you.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, don't waste this opportunity because I know many students later on trying to learn the exact same concepts. They're looking up online forums, Stack Overflow, lots of conflicting places. They're trying out leak code problems, and but here you actually are in the middle of a place where you can get all that for free and easily with classmates helping you. So you can't get better than that. So don't throw away this fantastic opportunity, guys. Okay. Hey Gerald, you want to go next?
I already did before.
Yeah.
You did. How do you do? How about? Oh, yes. When we were talking about your iPad thing.
Yeah.
All right, great. Kevin also updated us. This is fine. So you know what? What we can do today is either call it a day, or I can answer questions, or I can set up some break rooms like you guys want. So you can say set up a couple of break rooms, and I will do that. You can tell me what the names of those break rooms need to be too. I can do that too, and then you can go to those break rooms. I still haven't figured out this SSO issue on my iPad. Maybe I'll give it a shot today, right? I'll try and log in with my iPad. If I can manage to get in with my iPad, I could enter one of those breakout rooms. Otherwise, what I'll do, I just stick around here, not in front of the camera, right? Maybe I'll turn the laptop around, right, to look at the lawn or something like that. And I'll be here. You can just call me, right? So if you just call me, hey, Prof or Anand, come back here, take a look. I'm just going to be here. I'll come back and sit down participate in a discussion if you want. I can't enter a breakout room, but you guys can come out and ask me a question. Right? I'll try and figure out a way, because it's not high priority right now to get in with my iPad also. Is that okay with you guys? Do you guys want to set up break rooms and breakout rooms and go in there, or do you guys have questions you want to ask me now? Everything is fine. Breakout rooms?
Breakout rooms.
Yeah, that sounds good.
What would you like the first breakout room to be? You know, what do you want to talk about in the first breakout room? So I've got one here. So create one breakout room. So I'll just create one now, but we can create more. Assign automatically. No, assign. Let participants choose room. Okay, so let's call this. Rename right here. Okay, before I even create. That's great. So what do you want me to call this? Right? What do you want people choosing rooms, or wanting to go? If there's only one, they'll basically. Even then, they need to know what it's. What do you want me to call it?
Maybe you want to optimize the code.
Yeah, optimizing code. Turkey, did you say that?
Yeah.
Optimizing code. I don't know what you mean by that. Is this optimizing code for the cache, or optimizing code for running faster?
In general, because in my Quest 2, I had a path or a method. I was expecting it to come out, and I tried my best to recursion it, to make it come out that way, but it didn't work out.
Okay, all right. So thank you for that. Okay, so thank you, Turkey. That is okay. That is one problem, but we can't have a breakout room for one problem, right? So we want to have many problems, talk, or general concept discussions. That's fine too, right? If you want to create a breakout room for general concept discussions. However, what I would like is that you don't go into a breakout room. Just have a discussion right here. It's going to be recorded, and you could actually say some brilliant things too. This is a great opportunity. So how about this? Why don't I not create a breakout room now, unless you guys want it, right? Just let me know and I will create it. How do I open, assign? Oh, geez, I can't create a room. All right, it hasn't started. Okay, so I've just killed it.
Professor, so I need to go pick up my brother because it's 2 p.m. But
yeah. Okay, all right. No worries. People can feel free to drop off. Anybody who wants to carry on a discussion can carry it on here. That's fine. If you want to have a private discussion in a breakout room that is not being recorded, just let me know. I'll just create a room and you can go in there and have a discussion, right? Only thing, please be mindful, never resist the temptation, right? You will have a great deal of temptation to just, solve someone else's problem. And it's going to be happen not just now. This is your practice. And when you're professional programmers, you'll have so many opportunities when someone says, hey, take a look at this and what's a bug, right? So, and I think we have to resist the temptation, because many times those people are not looking for you to tell them what the bug is. Because if you keep telling them what the bug is, they're not going to call you and ask you, right? They want to say, hey, that's interesting, this corner case, have you accounted for that? And so on and so forth, because that makes for interesting things. So I think you should just feel free to talk about anything here. No problem at all, right? But if you do want a breakout room, that's fine. But you should feel totally comfortable with talking about your code and anything here. Is that okay with you guys? Do you want a room still? Right. What I will do is I'll create one room then, and I'll if I create a room, people will enter it just because they think they need to enter it. So I won't create it unless you want to, right? So tell me. So one person said they wanted a room before, but if you guys concur and say, give me a room, and this is the title, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things to do with general question system, or we want to talk about hair, right? Or we want to talk about the minor automata, cellular automata, right? Because inside the breakout room, I think you can even use a shared whiteboard, right? You can draw on things and stuff like that. So you can do that, or you can do that right here. Someone could say, hey, I want to have a discussion about automata. Let me share my Canvas whiteboard, and then you can do drawings in there with your pen or pencil, or or even with your mouse. You can do all those things. Is that okay with you, right? Some of you have to go, I recognize, because you probably at work too, right? Today is a working day, right? You have one hour off for these meetings, and that's perfectly fine. And in fact, you should let me know by email before to say, hey, I'm actually a working guy or gal. You need to make sure that these meetings are super efficient, right? You don't spend, talk about useless stuff. Just give us the, real stuff.
Yeah, Professor, I gotta go. Calling me out for the.
No worries, Gerald.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Feel free to participate in the forums, everybody. Okay. And thank you for the update. And I'm going to leave this on. Do you want me to leave this on and turn the camera around so that you guys can just feel free to talk as long as you want, and you can drop off when the last person goes. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. He's going to everything is there. What I'll do, I'm not going to mute. or do anything with the video, I'm just going to turn it around. Okay, so I'm here. So you know I'm here, but I'm not looking at you guys. Anytime you want me to come back, all you need to do is just say, right, call my name or say prof, or even just start talking. But I don't want to hear silence, right? You guys have to be talking amongst each other. But if you call me, right, or call prof or something like that, I'll come back, right? Please don't have silence, right? That's the only thing that students don't like to see in a video, right? Just silence. Just keep talking.
Professor, I actually have a question.
Yeah. What?
So for those of us that are behind, like in past classes, what have you seen? Like people who actually like work through the problems, do they actually get to like the ninth quest like within the quarter, or is that something that's like?
Oh no. That is real. It's based on real stuff, and everybody gets to quest number 9. Not everybody, right? All the it's here in every color. I've set it up so that you get to quest number 6, you pass the class.
Oh.
Right, but in order to do the next level course, like if you're doing 2A and you want to go to 2B, quest 6 is not enough. You got to do quest 9. Likewise, you can pass 2B by stopping at quest 6. But in order to go on a 2C, you really need to go all the way to quest 9 and B. Yes, does that make sense?
Yes, that actually explains a lot as far as like the difficulty of the blue quest, because I like totally blasted it after I figured out the auto grader. But then
Right.
like 7, 8, 9 from like my past class I had no knowledge of, so this makes a lot of sense now.
No, I know it shouldn't be like that, Anne, because 7, 8, 9 are based on concepts that come from the state, from the California state, right? So they're supposed to be taught. So one of the that's what I think this is what's going on, right? Over the last couple of quarters, many students were affected by the pandemic and in direct or indirect ways, and then the instructors basically recognized that, and then they gave them pass marks for effort. But unfortunately, pass is not sufficient to go on to 2B, right? So you need to know about classes and objects. So you have to go all the way to blue 9 to do 2B.
Yes.
Yeah, but the help is always available here. Everybody should make use of that help. Yeah, but people routinely do all the way up to 9, and you will be surprised. You think, here, luckily we've got this on video, Anne. Okay, because in 9 weeks' time, you should bookmark this video, right? And bookmark this time and listen to yourself saying that, oh my gosh, the quests are really hard. Okay, green quest. Say the same thing after 9 weeks, and I'll eat my words.
Well, I actually I aced my CS2A class, but I also had a bit of trouble with Blue Quest 8 and 9. Like I didn't really have trouble with 7, but 8 and 9 were definitely a challenge for me, even after acing the CS2A.
I see. All right, we'll, do you guys want me to stick around? Is this a conversation amongst you guys? You should just feel free to talk amongst yourself, you guys, okay? Because it doesn't look like you're expecting input from me, but you should just feel free to talk amongst yourself, right? So that's perfectly fine. You know what Sung said? Was it Sung before who said, aced the previous class and had difficulty?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, so that's perfectly fine. Right? It's a valid observation, right? Because it is possible to ace the class, but still any class, even math. It's possible to ace any class without missing out, right? Not even deliberately missing out critical knowledge that is required to go on to the next level because of the fact that you weren't aware of it. Because if it was there, you would have picked it up, right? But unfortunately, every field is so big that you can't present everything. So the biggest challenge for a student is finding the right answer and also steering away from wrong answers. There's so many wrong answers out there. There's billions and billions of wrong answers. You just go to Google or Bing, you'll find them, right? So the challenge for students is, the biggest challenge is steering away from the wrong answers. The next biggest challenge is finding the right answer, right? It's all out there. It's all out there. And the problem is, it's possible not to find the wrong answer if you don't. It's possible not to find all of the right answers if you don't look. That's the challenge, right? So there's a little bit of effort on the part of the student over and above what the teacher is able to give you, because we can't give you more than what is possible to do in 12 weeks. But there is some assumption on our part, I think, but the student will have to somehow magically find out all the missing pieces and fill it in themselves. All right, but we're there to help. Okay, so if you find any challenges, like you said, Anne, something about classes and things, and that's still missing in my knowledge base after having done 2A, feel free to ask, right? Because we can say, hey, in order to get good at it, all you need to do is press 6, 7, 8. You're good, right? And then there's all the reference material you need right there. Everything is linked there, and help too. You can ask us, you can ask me, you can ask STEM Center. Concepts are always, everybody's glad to help you, right? So I think everybody should just feel totally free, right? This is a playground where you are here to just play and learn, right? So just take that to the best possible, way you can get it, really. So take it to the limit and fool around, right? So, and this is great. This is your ticket, right? This is like your $200 retreat or $200 expensive entertainment ticket, right? So you get 3 months to enjoy it, and you paid a couple of $100 for it or something like that.
Oh, actually, I just want to say that I didn't mean it as a bad thing. I actually enjoyed the challenge. I was just
That's
making
okay.
an
Even
observation.
if it's a bad thing, I think you should feel free to say it. That's what I mean, right? In your case, it wasn't. But even if it was a bad thing, you should just feel free to say it. I don't care, right? If it's a bad thing, I could possibly change things. Like this the student who had some negative things to say about the way the classes run. It's actually a useful thing for us, right? Because we know now, okay, well, this is one way we can change the syllabus and also create a new way to address the needs of that particular student who was disadvantaged. By the way, we're running class now. Yeah, so those kinds of things only come out when people are dissenting like that. All I want is just to be productive, all of us, right? Just productive and not stand in the way of other students who are trying to be productive, right? If you're unproductive on your own, well, maybe you got time to do that, or you can come back later and fix up things. But other students may not have that luxury. So we can't spoil other people's time, but we can absolutely spoil our own time. Not spoil, right? Use up our own time. That is my principle anyway. You can feel free to disagree. Even this, you can feel free to disagree, right? You can disagree in the forums, you can disagree here, no problems at all. Everything is completely open, right? So everything is open and we don't have any problems, right? What's the worst that can happen is that you'd be wrong or I'd be wrong, right? And everybody's wrong. I have a problem being wrong. So I don't think you have a problem being wrong either. So just feel free. Is that okay? Can I just leave it here with you guys? You can talk, right? Just keep talking. Whatever it is, just feel free to say, all right?
Awesome. So I'm going to talk about this issue generally, so we don't have enough details about the quest. What do we call it? The Hanoi Towers?
Yeah, the Towers of Hanoi or something like that.
Towers of Hanoi. When I ran it, it gave me more steps. It wasn't efficient. I mean, when it comes to calculating speed, I don't think it's going to affect it that much. But, extra steps to do the same thing. I was wondering if anyone managed to get the the method with recursion where it's very efficient.
Actually, I don't think recursion is even that useful. I mean, I found an iterative solution to Towers of Hanoi and it looked way better than the recursive solution, in my opinion.
Me too, but I was wondering, I was like, is there a way we can do it that way? I mean, I don't know if I can go with details, but the only way I can represent it is as like a slinky. Goes one way, then it goes the other way, so we can keep the same order. But I tried it with recursion and never worked that way.
Was this quest based around recursion? That's my understanding. I haven't even started.
Yes,
I'm still
it
figuring
is.
out the cache thing.
I think you should start with recursion and then do the cache. I feel like the cache is a lot easier to understand if you understand the recursion part.
Okay, perfect. Because so I kind of got it set up, but then when I try and run it, it's like your cache is messed up, and I'm like, I don't know what to do about that. Okay, so
Yeah, I mean,
thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with that as well. As I said, it ended up being like one line that was the problem, and then I changed that one line. But I feel like if I started with the base, because I didn't really understand recursion that well, and then I wasn't really understanding what my what my function was doing. But once I understood like what it was doing, it was kind of trivial to solve my problem.
Yeah, that's how I felt about like green 1. Like I was like killing myself for like 3 days, and then somebody was like, oh, you know what, I had like a problem with like one method, and I literally changed the line and everything worked perfectly, and I was like, I hate that. It's a very love-hate relationship with C++ for me.
Turkey, you were talking about the Towers of Hanoi, right? Making it easier. It's not something I've done, but maybe try going more of an explicit way of doing it instead of just the simple recursion. Since just having to use the previous terms, that might just be slowing it down a lot.
I've done it the normal way without recursions, and it worked fine. I mean, I got the exact same prediction.
Right.
But
yeah.
I was trying to figure out if there's a way we can do it with recursion where we just like, because it's like a slinky in a way. It goes one way all the way, but the last value, then it just bounces back the other side. I was figuring, I was like, maybe there's a way we can recursion, then just like flip it. But
when you say you didn't do recursively, what do you mean by that? Did you use like a for loop, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I use the for loop for it. So if you know your limits, you can just do it with a for loop. And once it's there, you just flip.
Yeah, I think you can do every recursive solution iteratively. I think almost every case iterative solution is better, actually. But
that's what I was mentioning, just because I remember in high school when I was learning recursion, just a long time ago, so I might be forgetting things, but we talked about the difference between just simple recursion, and my vocabulary is wrong, but there's an explicit version, right, where you use sort of a helper function in order to help your recursion in a way where you use the position of where you are recursively in order to calculate it without having to go back and look at, because you're talking about how to, it does like, if you do Fibonacci, you take n of whatever plus that, right? You do 1 plus, and then you do the recursion. The idea there is you delete that 1 plus, which means you won't have to go back all those layers. Instead, you'll use the location where it is recursively. I mean, I'm not sure how to do it. I could barely do the regular recursive for this quest, but I'm sure that would make it a lot better if it's something you're interested in looking up.
Oh, that's actually a great idea. So a helper function that might just like flip the value at the end or something.
Exactly.
Great idea.
For the those of you who have done the automata, I'm just starting out. Did you guys find that the module was sufficient just to like sort of understand it? Because I did Game of Life a while ago, but I've kind of forgot some of the concepts. Where did you guys look for that sort of information?
Losif's module is what I'd recommend just to understand what automata is really. I think there's a typo in the spec that I plan to post about. I forgot about it, which threw me off. It's about, how many, maybe you just write it down now and you probably won't understand what I'm saying right now, but then once you read through the module, you'll probably figure out you need to add some buffer strings or padding to the left and right of the seed. And the value of that, you can either hard code it or figure out a pattern. And there's a hint about it in the spec, but I think there is a typo. So I'll post about it. But anyway, going back to your question, yeah, Losif's module will tell you all the details that you need to know about implementing or what exactly is a 3-parent automata. So that definitely helps.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, and I think one more, I guess this applies to Hanoi also, is when you're doing the quest 3 or quest 2, try to hand calc solve a problem for a number of disks equals 3, or in terms of the automata problem, like maybe try to hand calculate what the next generation would be, or maybe 2 generations, up to 2 generations. Then you'll get an idea of what you want to code. I think somebody in the class also mentioned, like, once you actually solve it by hand, then it'll become really easy for you to code it. So for Hanoi recursion problem, what helped me was to just hand calculate the number of moves for 3 disks, and then implement it in code and step through the debugger and see if the steps are making sense and they match with your hand carrots. That's what worked for me.
Yeah, just to add on to that for the tower problem, I sort of did the for recursion solving. I sort of just did the assume it works that sort of solution, which just means you kind of code around it, and then eventually it just sort of works. And student would just click why it works. It took me a while. I had to really figure out, I was like, because I didn't even understand how I made it work, but it makes sense. So sometimes you code the other things, and then the main problem will come with it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Wait, did anyone have the problem with the even or odd number of disks and the results at the end? I think I tried it once with a different number. Like I don't remember. It was like last night when I had an even. The first step was different than when I had it as an odd.
Yeah, I never came across
So
that type of a problem.
Something I want to kind of look at. But
Interesting. For the Hanoi, what helped me was instead of trying to find the recursive pattern by, writing numbers like 1 to 2 to 3 and 1 to 3 to 2, I think if you use the alphabet, right, variable alphabets that are used in the code, then the pattern will click immediately. That's a big takeaway for me, like, because I don't know, the mind just doesn't want to process numbers, but alphabets are easier to process, I guess. But so I would use, like, if you're moving disk from source to temp or source to destination, just use the initials SDT, and then you'll figure out what you're doing eventually. The pattern becomes obvious.
How long did it take? Like, I just want to ballpark how long it should take for green 2.
Good question. I think it depends on how sooner you recognize the recursive pattern. But for me, to be honest, I had come across this problem before, so it was a little bit easier for me. But I think conservatively, you can say about a week to understand what recursion is and how it works, and then this includes the cache memoization stuff as well. So I would say a week means 5 days maybe. Yeah.
I think you'd mentioned that you had the first few steps completed, right? And you're just stuck on the cache?
I'm just stuck on cache, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if that part works, the cache will
kind of come.
I think the key thing is purging the lower levels. That's what you should focus on.
Sorry?
When you're getting the error that the cache is different than what the grader expects, that's probably, you might want to go back and read the small portion about why we should be purging the lower levels of the cache, like, as it goes higher and higher.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. To add to Nate's comment, I think I fell for that when that was my pitfall. I was storing more cache than expected by the spec. And I actually made a post about it. I feel like we should be carrying more cache because it just makes more sense. Otherwise, we would delete some of the information that we would use in the upcoming calculations. But I guess the grader expects you to just delete the cache sooner. I think it explicitly mentions it, store it for only one step or one level.
Actually, that was like my biggest problem as well.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't understand why we were clearing it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then, like, I just never did it because I'm like, why are we doing this? And then I just left it out of my code, and then I just kept on failing and failing. And then I added that one line. I'm like, and then it finally worked. I'm like, yeah, that was really the problem.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that we're gonna do it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have a feeling that we're gonna do something like this next assignment. I feel like assignment 3 or assignment 4 are gonna have something like this about clearing cache.
Oh, no, I can assure you that there's no such thing. So cache is only quest 2. Yeah. I think Ronaldo made a good point. I think maybe the professor wanted us to think about how to manage vectors. Maybe that's why the spec asks us to keep clearing the cache every single time.
I
Yeah,
also
that's
didn't
the
really understand why we were using like nested vectors. Like, since we know the size of like the sub vectors, like we don't know the size of the outermost vector. So that makes sense to why like we're using a vector for, but for like the inner vectors, like since we already know the size is going to be either 1 to 3, like shouldn't we like I just thought like we could have used arrays instead of like constantly like resizing the inner vectors, and then like I don't know, maybe that's kind of a stupid idea, but that's what I thought this morning, at least.
No, that's a good point. Maybe it just vectors allows us to be flexible and can work with a problem that has n number of disks and n number of poles for that matter.
Oh yeah, I just assumed that it's always going to be 3 poles, and like
Right. Yeah. If that's the
Yeah.
case, you could definitely use a fixed data structure like an array. But maybe it's a matter of flexibility here.
I think that, yeah, I think it's the whole, I think the whole purpose of this assignment in my head is learn recursion, learn vectors. I mean, if you
Right.
program in C++ and somebody says, well, how about a set of elements? The first thing you think is, I'm going to create a vector, right? Is that the go-to workhorse of C++, right? I mean, it's the Python list, right? It's the first thing you think of. And I think it's starting to teach you that, right?
Right.
Vectors in C++. There's no big mystery behind it. Now, recursion, as we were discussing, right? Before Quest 4, there's so much recursion there. That I went to sleep. I thought I had a nightmare about recursion, right? So there's so much of it. So it's better for, if you don't understand it now, you better understand it when you get to Quest 4.
Yeah. Quest, just a heads up, Quest 4 I think is pretty tricky. So I recommend that you learn recursion and make sure that you don't have any doubts about it. Otherwise, Quest 4 can become hard, like Ronaldo mentioned.
also might add that recursion, like it's very deceptively simple. Like it is a very simple concept, but
yeah,
like it is very difficult to understand it to its full extent. So like if you, yeah.
I think what makes recursion challenging is if the recursion depth becomes longer and longer, you kind of lose track of, okay, how many layers deep are you already?
Yeah,
so
that was my main problem as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I just didn't know what was going on when and then
Yeah.
like it really helped me to like just draw a tree and like give myself like an example and like go through that tree.
Exactly.
But
yeah, like a smaller, like not too deep, maybe like 3 layers deep, and it gives you an
Yeah.
intuition of how recursion works, because now your mind can keep track of those previous two steps. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right,
you're
yeah,
right. I mean, every recursive solution, yeah, that's the theory, can be done iteratively. So, but the recursion solution for Hanoi, I'm looking at my code now. Besides that if here and something there is like 3 lines.
3 lines. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
It's
small.
very easy to code.
Yeah. If it clicks, it's like, I'm counting, it's like, yeah, declare a string variable, but it's like 3 lines, right? So not counting some cache thing, but it's like 3 lines.
Yeah. The only downside of recursion is like, I think this is also in the spec, like if we have a huge number of disks, then you might have stack overflow, because every time you have a recursion call, you try to fill or reserve a part of memory on stack. And then if you have many recursive calls, then you might run out of memory at one point. That's, I think, the pitfall. But on the brighter side, it makes the code really clean, like Ronaldo mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it just
Which
that
again-
part doesn't really like, I understand that it looks very elegant, but it feels like to me that people like using recursion is basically sacrificing efficiency for like more stylish code, or
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. All right, guys, I need to drop off, go back to work. Thank you.
Okay, guys, take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Professor, I think everyone here is done actually.
Oh, hi. Hi. Yes. Yes. Thank you. This is Walter.
Yes.
Hey, Walter. Thanks for sticking around every class to help me out. Thanks very much for that. Okay, I'll end the recording now. And hey, Kevin, are you done too? You're here.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, good. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully see you again next week. This is all helping you guys, or is it just fluffy meetings? Yeah.
No, it's good. It helps me understand more, like, how it's going through people, how they sort of solve them. Obviously,
Yeah.
like some technical things aren't being, but those are better to sort of figure
As
out.
in face-to-face classes, you actually get to interact with them, right?
Yeah.
But here, like, you're learning in a silo, and I think this is fantastic. I love that. Thank you so much for that feedback. And yeah, enjoy with your classmates. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.